It's a special presentation to showcase the procedure of going beyond traditional innovation at the football club, as we will hear a unique approach to player development, career management, and giving back to the sport.
Welcome. I'd like to start this chat by asking a couple of serious questions. I'd like you to raise your hand if you really love your football club. Let me see you raise your hand if you love your football club. Great. I'd like to ask another question. Raise your hand again if not only if you love your football club, but you want them to prosper, grow, win the league, make the fans happy. Raise your hand again. Brilliant. We're in the right place. So, I'd like to talk about where you are just now, your club. Where is your club right now? Well, maybe the structure at your club isn't exactly giving you the satisfaction to help your club grow. Maybe your commercial department doesn't have the expertise to get the funding to help fund your club on the playing pitch. Possibly your academy hasn't got the right expertise to be able to bring in the right coaches. Maybe your stadium isn't fit for bringing in the right people. Possibly your recruitment isn't up to scratch. And your recruitment at the club of coaches and players has put you in a situation where you're not able to grow. You're not able to go up the ladder. The coach that you brought in recently hasn't done the job. He's been mediocre. The players haven't been up to your standard. So, if that's where you are now, where do you want to be? Picture this. The structure at your club has a vision that's taking you up the ladder in the league and giving you success. The commercial department has learned all about funding, how you are able to get the right amount of income into your funding for the club and your commercial department to fund your football department. Your academy is growing. You're putting in seeds to make players grow, to make a pathway to the first team. Your recruitment has got to such a level that you're so happy that you're bringing in the best coaches for your team and also the best players and being the envy of your league. How are we going to do that? How are we going to get you from where you are to where you want to be? We're going to do that by our step-by-step club elevation system. So what is that? What does that actually mean? This is a plan, a blueprint that's going to take your club from the negativity to the positivity. From the coaches who couldn't do the job to the top coach in the league. From the players who were not interested to the players who are working for your team. But before we talk about that in a bit in more detail, I'd like to talk a little bit about who I am. My name is John Viola, and I've been in this industry for over 30 years. In fact, I worked out this week, it's 33 years this month, working in the football business, travelling the world, elevating football clubs, helping them progress, teaching them exactly what it takes to be able to become successful. I've lived in the Middle East and dealt with all the top clubs and top players all round the world. But it's not all about me. It's about you. And I'd like to ask this question. Have you ever thought, you're looking at clubs and saying, why is that club mediocre and not getting anywhere in life? But these other clubs are flying and getting promotions and winning cups. Have you ever thought about that before? Well, there's the summer of 2016, and this top Premier League club with massive history, has just been relegated to the English Championship. Now, if anybody knows about anything about the English Championship, you'll know that it's a notoriously difficult league to get out of. The new owner, Tony, a Chinese man, has just bought the club, and within 12 weeks, he sacked the inexperienced manager. He appoints a new chief executive, Keith Wyness. He phones Keith. Keith, we need to find a new manager. We need a plan. We need to get promotion. Immediately, Keith thinks, wow, the hardest club to get out of. We don't have a manager. We're near the bottom of the league. He quickly gets to work, and within a short period has an experienced manager. There's still a lot of negativity at the club. They're in disarray. But they managed to steady the ship and keep them in the championship. In the start of 2017, the new owner, Tony, who is a notorious businessman, asked Keith to come to his office. It was a bit like going to a headmaster's office. I'm sure you've been there before. And he comes in the room and he's sitting there at his big brown table with the array of cups behind him. And he's looking supremely intimidating. Keith, he says with an aggressive voice, we need to get up and it's your job to get us promotion. The next couple of hours were spent talking about how do we make this happen. And jointly, they got to the situation of thinking, wow, here's a light bulb moment. Have you ever had something that you think about inspirational and you know, wow, this is just going to work? They decided to change the whole ethos of the club and bring in and implement a new, young, dynamic, driven management team. Now, of course, there was a transitional period, and during that period it was very difficult. But things started to happen. They implemented a structure to the club. They got rid of the negativity. They brought in a special recruitment policy and a different vision. And very slowly, things started to happen. The team were starting to get small results. Teams that they couldn't beat before, they were getting draws. Then they were getting wins. And then bang, near the end of the season, believe it or not, they beat two of the top teams to get themselves in the championship playoff final at Wembley in front of 90,000 fans. Now, I would love to say that they won that, but they were narrowly beaten 1-0, leaving Keith the task of still to try and get them up. The start of 2018, things were looking great. The club had implemented their special recruitment plan, their special recruitment policy, and they bought 5 or 6 players. The 6 players changed the whole dynamics of the club. At the beginning, everybody was getting more positive. The owner, Keith, the fans, the experienced manager, the players were loving being in there, and the results started to trickle in. And then they got win after win after win. And guess what? They got promoted. Got themselves the accolade they deserved to be in the Premier League, one of the biggest and best leagues in the world. The whole world was watching. And also the financial rewards of £100 million. You're probably asking, who is Keith and who is the club? Well, there you go. The club was Aston Villa, and believe it or not, that slide was done a couple of days ago. They're actually in a better position because they beat Manchester City in the league at the weekend. So, why am I telling you about this? Why am I telling you about that story? Because this is all about how you can transition and how you can move from where you are to where you want to be. If you've got the right vision, if you've got the right structure, and if you've got the right team. Now, when we talk about team, I'd like to talk about our team, because I'm immensely proud of our team. who we are, where we've been, and how we operate. We're actually a family business. It's myself, my son, my nephew, and we've actually got an ex-player who's nearly in family there, and we'll talk about him in a minute. And why is it important you've got the right team? This team have got over 100 years of experience in the football business. Phil McTaggart, my nephew, who specialises in taking youth players in youth situations and developing to get to the first team with clubs all over the world. He's travelled to over 20 countries and for the last 25 years has transformed clubs from where they are to where they want to be. Thank you, Phil. They're in the audience in case you don't know. Then, of course, we've got this young man here, Craig Moore. Craig's an ex-footballer who played in the Premier League for Newcastle, played for a team in Scotland called Glasgow Rangers. He was a captain of the national team. He played in the Bundesliga. He played for Crystal Palace. Played in Greece and actually went back to Australia. When he went back to Australia, he became sporting director after he finished at Brisbane Roar. Then went on to work for the national team. He's also an Olympian. He told me to remember him about that. And he's also scored in the World Cup. Now, I think that's quite a bit of experience to be bringing to the table to help clubs who are trying to move on from where they are to where they want to be. And then, of course, I'd like to speak about Keith Wagnes. Keith's background, he's been working with us for the last 10 years, but his background is that he was involved with British Airways. He actually worked on the marketing of Concorde, if you remember it. And of course, Keith came into this football business, wonderful world of business in football 22 years ago, where he became the chief executive of Aberdeen, his hometown. He then stepped up and then became the chief executive of Everton. And then he went to the next level, where he became the chief executive of Aston Villa, taking this club to the Premier League. Why are you telling us this? Because I think the team is paramount. I think the team is a must if you're going to try and move forward and do business with people. And from a team that's got family values and an experience and transparency and honesty, that's 451 Football Consultancy. So how are we actually going to get you your step-by-step club elevation system? Now, I would be here to 2 a.m. speaking about how we're going to get you there. There's 5 areas that we believe that you have to, and I mean have to, be able to master to be able to take your club from where they are to where they want to be. I may add, everything that we're speaking about is teaching people our knowledge to take them to the next level by upskilling them. This isn't about us. This is about you and your club and how we're going to take you to the next level and we can move on to the next club. So the very first things we spoke about is a club structure. If you don't have an executive management structure and a pathway and a vision, your club will go nowhere. You have to have this plan that's going to take you to the next level by developing local management talent. Us, as a company, are advocates of teaching local people how to do the job so they have a succession. Local people in the community are vital to make this happen. And of course, you have to have an operational framework that is robust and second to none. Of course, we know you need to have a football strategy. If you don't have a football strategy, you go nowhere. And of course, recruitment. And I'm going to spend a little bit about talking about recruitment. If you don't have a right manager, if you don't have the right players, you don't have the right coaching staff, you don't have the right physio, you don't have the right doctor, your club will fail. Recruitment is probably one of the most important things that you need to be able to take your club to the next level. You need to understand about scouting. You need to understand about how you can have succession in your club. And what do I mean by succession? So many clubs bring in a manager. If the manager leaves, they're in trouble. You need succession. So many clubs bring in these great footballers. They leave after a couple of years and they've got themselves in trouble. You need to have a succession plan. Is that right? I like the way you're nodding. Good stuff. So, and of course, with every club, you have to focus on the budget. I'll come back to that in a minute. In this room, I know, through speaking to a lot of people, grassroots and academy is really, really important. Because in Saudi Arabia, this is about a long-term plan. To be able to get players at academy level, get them up to speed, and feed them in to your club. So you don't have to go and pay big money for big players. That's the key for long-term development at clubs. And of course, you need to be able to create community and outreach programs. But what do I mean by that? Every club that we've seen that's been successful has got a program where they go to their community and teach their community within the club. Because normally it's fans, and those fans will go the extra mile. And that outreach community, if they don't become fans and get a job, they want to come out into the stadium and help you grow. So, if you focus on the importance of bringing in players through an academy with the right advice and the right upskilling from ourselves, you'll find that you will grow to a level where you don't need outsourcing players. Really important. And of course, anybody that's in business understands if you don't have a commercial department, then you don't have a business. You have to be commercially minded. You have to be able to bring in money. And what's the money for? To be able to buy coaches and players. And of course, developing sponsorships and partnerships is a must at every club. You need to be able to be commercial. Hospitality and match day revenue, I'm sure anybody that's in the business will understand it's a key part. And being commercial will help you fund the football inside, as I said, to take you to success. I'd like to talk about facilities. If you don't have the right facilities, then it's important that you understand about facilities. And why am I saying this? Because some people say, okay, it's just a stadium, it's just a training ground, it's just an academy. But I'll give you a little story that most players, and we have been involved with transferring players and being involved with bringing coaches to clubs, the first thing they ask is this: show me the stadium. If you speak to somebody about a club and they say, my team is Real Madrid, they go, wow, your stadium's amazing. They talk about the stadium. If you speak to a player, they say, show me the training facilities. So it's key that these facilities, which are your jewel in the crown and representing you, are up to scratch to be able to go forward. So this is our general step-by-step guide about how your club can go from where it is to where it wants to be. But how does it work? It's great talking, and so many people talk in this business. But we are action men. We've been doing this for over 30 years. The very first thing you've got to do is get a club audit. That's a fact-finding mission. What do you need? Do you need the commercial department sorted? Do you need your recruitment? Do you need a new manager? Does your training ground need redeveloped? That's the first thing. The second thing, you put a time out for it. How long does that take? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and that roadmap you've got to stick to. And of course, as a partnership with our company, we execute this together. So that's how it works. As simple as 1, 2, 3. Club audit, roadmap, execution. Good to see you guys. You clap for nothing. So, Keith, who's our international consultant, who you know has got a massive amount of experience, couldn't be here today. He says, but please, could you tell everybody what my words are about how we're going to develop clubs? And I'd just like to repeat what he's saying. Everything is centred around the community. It's community development, and most importantly, the progression and implementation and the upskill of local staff. Can I ask a question? Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense. Yeah? Yeah, we've still got some people with us. Good. This ensures that a concrete succession plan is in place, allowing newfound growth to be fully sustainable. It's about us teaching you how to take your club to the next level for success. I'd like to speak about this club because it's really close to my heart. Only 9 months ago, we were approached by this owner, David Keresleezy. He says, look, our club is in disarray. We don't know how to go forward. Please help us. We done an audit, and we're still going through the roadmap. When we got there, the training facilities were terrible. The pitches were terrible. They didn't have a club structure. They didn't have a managing director. The coaches were so negative. The players didn't want to be there. It was so difficult. But since then, they've built their own stadium. Since then, this club have went from the bottom of the league to the top of the league and third position to qualify for Europe. They've got a new managing director. They've got a sporting director. And I'd like to add, one of the things that we'd done was we took that sporting director out of Georgia, which emerging country, and took him to the UK and gave him 1 month's experience of following a UK sporting director. And where is he now? He's got them to the third position in the league. A focused coach, 6 new players in our specialist recruitment policy. And these guys, believe it or not, the fans are going crazy. They've made Europe, and our roadmap has worked so far. He says here, the owner, we are incredibly satisfied with the way that 451 Football Club has worked closely with us to transform our club for the better. The progress we have made together is second to none. Thank you. I'm just about finished, ladies and gents, but if you're really serious, and I've seen a lot of you put up your hands saying you really love your club, and if you're really serious about taking your club to the next level, and you want those fans to be happy, and you want those fans to be winning cups and leagues, getting into continental Europe, and living the dream, we've done it for many, many clubs. I would urge you to have a look at our website, 451forclubs.com, if you're serious to get started today. Let's sprinkle some gold dust over your team. Get them success, get the fans happy, get them on in the league. And more importantly, you as a club are on the map. Shukran.